Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. After Sports Day event turns deadly at St. Mary High School. Renewed calls for government to address discrepancies in the PATH program. And later in sports, another delay in CAS hearing for Jamaica and West Indies batsmen. Thank you for joining us. I'm Carrie-Ann Simpson. Here are the details. An after Sports Day event turned deadly at the St. Mary High School Wednesday evening as a man was shot and killed and 4 others injured during a shooting incident. The deceased has been identified as 28-year-old Fabian Needham, otherwise called Killy Killy. Reports are that Mr. Needham was attending an event at the school when he got into an argument with a group of men. The police say the exchange got physical and the now deceased threw a glass bottle at the men and ran towards the crowd. He was chased by the men, one of whom pulled a handgun and shot Mr. Needham in the upper body. Deputy Superintendent Kevin Francis is the acting commanding officer for the St. Mary Police Division.
We're following some leads at this point, and we're hoping to resolve this matter with a view for it to be cleared. However, we're asking any resident or anyone with information to reach out to the police so that we can be able to treat with this matter effectively. Just want to...
Several issues are high on the agenda for Mayor of Kingston, Andrew Swaby. During a tour of Halfway Tree earlier this week, the new mayor says he has observed a number of issues and he will be addressing them in short order. In footage of the recent tour sent to our newsroom, KSAMC Chairman Andrew Swaby outlined plans for changes in Halfway Tree St. Andrew. He says these will be done alongside the plan to renovate 7 markets in the corporate area. Mr. Swaby noted that unlike those of the Coronation and Crossroad markets, the sanitary conveniences in Halfway Tree are in a better state. But he's concerned that persons do not often use them.
As far as I'm concerned, there's only two sets there, female and a male, and they are in excellent condition, I must say. Excellent conditions. And then we have seen a spot round by close to Pavilion where we believe they were trying something, but I don't think that's an appropriate thing for persons to, just in the public, to just urinate like that. And we'll be having some discussion with them because clearly it is a public health issue for us at the KSAMC.
And as for other issues highlighted,
it cleaned 2 years ago, and if you notice, the garbage is still there. If you look right there on the highland, you can see the drum of garbage is still there. And the next thing, I don't sell at night. I leave like 5, but there's no lighting.
In this particular area?
No lighting, no street light. If you're there until like 6 o'clock.
The street lights are not working?
No. See, it disconnect long time because the tree, the breakdown and them don't come back and connect it. So around here, I understand it's very dark in the night.
Mr. Swaby says following the tour, he will be meeting with the vendors to ensure both sides will be working together.
Within a month, I should say, we'll be having a meeting close by. We're thinking of Stephanie Hall, where we have telling that they need to come. And we have impressed upon them that they need to have an organization that are in constant dialogue with the KSAMC. You don't achieve it in a big meeting. So what we want to do is to make sure we have some representative coming out of that big meeting, have representative where they can in constant dialogue with us. We have seen the issue of street lights that they said that needs to repair, the issue of how where they put their garbage. So those are some things that we can discuss at that meeting.
Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the government's Know Your Numbers campaign has been well received since its launch last year. Since the launch, the ministry has toured 7 parishes and close to 100,000 tests have been conducted.
The last count I saw was that we did about 75,000 different tests. That's not 75,000 people, because on average one person does about 3 to 4 test screenings. I think we're closer to 100,000 now, because since that time we were in St. Thomas last Friday and we saw 831 people doing on average 4 tests. So that's 8 times 4, that's 3,000 odd tests.
He says the Health Ministry had set a target of 500,000 screening over a period of 1.5 years, and since then, the campaign has been gaining momentum. On the matter of mental health, Dr. Tufton says the ministry has embarked on a series of programs to address the issue.
Wellness bench that we have been taking into schools and taking the psychiatrists to help to counsel them in psychosocial behavior, coping mechanisms. We have videos that we have put out. We have been to a number of schools. We have Jamaica Moves in schools to enhance physical activity. And in terms of our mental health ecosystem, our infrastructure at the parish and regional level, we have been building that out by adding more mental health officers, both at the highest level but also at the community level.
Should we go beyond literacy and numeracy and reset the education system for national productivity? That's the suggestion from Professor of International Business at the University of the West Indies, Denzil Williams. He was speaking as a guest on TVJ's Smile Jamaica morning program today, where he gave reasons for his view.
Because the truth is that we almost have universal coverage in primary school. Almost every child who wants to go to primary school goes to primary school. But the problem you have is that you come out and you're just literate and numerate, but you can't interact in the global economy. And that alone is not going to be sufficient for you to get the, the bigger jobs and to also get the get the kind of networks that you need to start your own business and stuff.
The Program for International Student Assessment recently rated the state of Jamaica's education system, ranking the country's students as below average. Mr. Williams says while numeracy and literacy are important, if we are to improve productivity, more persons need to be educated at a higher level. For the government to address what critics describe as discrepancies in the program of advancement through health and education path. Among the main concerns is the selection criteria for path beneficiaries. More details in this report.
I have a washing machine. I'm afraid for the persons to come at my home to verify if I can be on path.
This happens to be an issue that many PATH applicants have to contend with. They apply for the PATH program because they're in need of help, but according to the government's eligibility criteria, they're deemed undeserving of assistance. Speaking at a recent PATH town hall consultation in Portmore, St. Catherine, residents called on the government to amend sections of the program. They say certain requirements that were feasible when the program first started in 2002 are no longer practical in 2024. But Permanent Secretary in the Labour Ministry, Colette Roberts-Risden, sought to assure the public that more deliberation goes into the selection process for PATH beneficiaries.
No one question prevents you from qualifying for PATH. What it is, all of that information that you have provided is almost like you put it in a pot and you there's an algorithm, and don't ask me to explain the algorithm, but there is an algorithm running in the background with the computer system that says, based on the information you have submitted, it is highly likely that this person is in need of PATH.
Mrs. Roberts-Risden says applicants have the option to make an appeal if they feel their application was wrongfully dismissed.
There are going to be some persons who are genuinely in need, who the system may say you don't qualify. And that is why we have the appeals process within the parish. And that process, the parish social worker will do a little more in-depth questioning and qualitative assessment.
In the meantime, the ministry says it is working to revise the eligibility for PATH qualification. Labour Minister Pernal Charles Jr. says the move will ensure that more deserving families benefit from the program.
We want to make sure that the revision of the program doesn't leave anybody with any confusion that if you have stove, it means you can't get on PATH. Because in 2024, everybody must have a stove, you must have a fridge, you must have all of these things. So these are basic amenities.
PATH is a social safety net program which provides conditional cash grants to vulnerable households within the population. Amoy Harriet, TVJ News.
It's time for a break. Stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. Residents of Grass Peas and surrounding communities in Hagley Gap, St. Thomas are breathing a sigh of relief now that their health center is now back in operation. For 3 years, they have been without the facility which was being repurposed. Residents say it has been frustrating and costly traveling to other parishes for health services.
And I'm so excited and happy to know that they are renovating it up, because you have a lot of old people in the community and sometimes they can't get any transportation to take them to the doctor. And some, when they do get one, they have to pay like $10,000, $5,000 to take them to Morant Bay or Mavis Bank. So I'm happy for it. And I know other people in the community are glad.
We used to have to travel to over by St. Andrew or by Morant Bay. So it's a very good feeling now to know that health will be here, close to the citizen.
Mayor of Morant Bay, Louis Chin, says he had to come through on his promise to reopen the health center.
The cry was to travel from HASIS Gap to Morant Bay, from HASIS Gap to Papin. The road was so terrible, the transportation was expensive. So I promised them, so I come back to deliver and see that the HASIS Gap Community Center, hoping in the health center again.
It's now time for the Business Minute.
JPS is reporting increased profits for its financial year ending December 31. For the period under review, the company made $68.15 million. It did so even though revenue declined from $1.16 billion in 2022 to $1.072 billion last year. Further afield, Tuesday's deadly bridge collapse in Maryland means the Port of Baltimore is now closed. The port is a critical hub for cargo in and out of the U.S. 15,000 jobs depend directly on the Port of Baltimore, with more than 100,000 other jobs linked to it. Scott Cowan represents a couple of thousand of those workers. The port handles billions of dollars worth of foreign cargo each year that includes more cars and trucks than any other U.S. port. It also manages heavy farm machinery, imported sugar, and coal exports. The extent of the impact hinges on how long the channel is closed. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Kelisha Williams.
Time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, Deputy Chairman of the Free National Movement political party and former Member of Parliament in the Bahamas, Don Saunders, was shot and killed in Gambia Village Wednesday night. The police are theorizing that armed robbery was the motive of the attack, though no specific target was identified. The death of the 49-year-old has sent shockwaves throughout the political community, with many describing Saunders as a popular Bahamian who contributed pro bono assistance to many since joining the government in 2002. On the international scene, cases of Mpox, formerly known as monkeypox, are on the rise in the U.S. According to CDC data, there have been 511 cases reported this year up to March 16, almost twice as many as the corresponding period last year. Health officials say they are concerned as vaccination rate remains low among the at-risk population. And former U.S. Senator and Vice Presidential candidate Joe Lieberman has died. According to a family statement, the 82-year-old died following complications from a fall. Lieberman represented the state of Connecticut in the Senate for nearly a quarter of a century. And those are the top regional and international stories. I'm Amoy Harriet.
Thank you, Amoy. We head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your midday sports with Spencer Darlington.